Eliott and Nina.
All right, welcome to the Cookout, ladies and gentlemen. We have a special guest, Dove Cameron, joining us. Thank you so much for taking the time and joining us here at the Cookout, Dove.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to speak to you.
Yeah, so we only got one rule, and that's since it's a cookout, it is a group effort of what we're going to be serving to the people. So you got to bring your favorite dish of what you want to eat at the cookout. So what do you bring in?
Oh, that's really hard. I don't know, like something like bready, like cornbread or like garlic bread or something like that. A charcuterie board.
Oh, you
All
can't go wrong with
three.
charcuterie. Yes.
You can't. It's a whole event. That's an all day event.
Yeah, you got to carb us up before we start drinking wine and stuff,
That's right. That's right. We're fancy.
I know. Well, we're so excited for you. Congratulations, first of all. I feel like I want to have you like take us on a ride real quick. So we'll start off with, you've said that this is a powerful moment for you to be able to release a song from the queer perspective. So we'll start from like, okay, why now for you? And then continue on to here.
Okay, sure. It's a very interesting, it's a broad question. First of all, the funny thing about Boyfriend is it was not engineered to happen how it happened. So it was less of a why now, and it was more of, I wrote Boyfriend as the first group of songs for what was going to be my EP. And I wrote it last year after the last day of my tour. And I went straight to the studio and it was like, all right, EP time. And I dove in with my producer and I wrote it based on a real life story that happened that I can't go too far into the details of, but I came and I was telling him this truly wild series of events that led to essentially like the exact verbatim story of Boyfriend, but the circumstances surrounding it were wild, which is essentially the lyric of like, I can't believe we're finally alone. I can't believe I almost went home. What are the chances everyone's dancing and he's not with you? I wish I could tell you why that is so wild, but we'll just have to imagine it for our own personal set of circumstances. But I was just writing an authentic song from my perspective, which wasn't like a queer perspective. It was just like a real story that had happened involving me and another woman. And I've always written songs from my perspective, which is as a queer woman, I guess you could just say a queer perspective, but it's never been so explicitly a queer anthem. And that wasn't like on purpose. That was just what was. I also was publicly dating men for a long time. And I wrote Boyfriend. I mean, I'm single. And at the time I wrote the song, I was single. And so I had an experience with this woman and I wrote it, not ever thinking that anyone would hear it. Just sort of like, no one's ever going to hear this. This isn't for the, like, who's going to want to hear about this? And like, who's going to want to listen to like a sort of a pseudo jazz pop track? Like it's not an obvious hit. It's not an obvious radio song. And so we just kind of put it to bed for a few months, kept working on it off and on. And I put it on TikTok out of like due diligence, just to be like, this is the first one that we did. What do you guys think about this? Not expecting anything of it. And when I put it up using the audio of the demo, so like other people were just hearing it more cleanly than in the background of my previous video, I went to bed and I woke up and it was like everywhere. It was all over the place. But it was a total accident. I was like, and also I'm not like avidly on the internet in general. And so like it was not engineered by the label. It wasn't even on purpose by me. It was just like a total fan reactive thing, which is truly magical because it's amazing how now all of us, people who take up the queer space and people in the queer community, and also people like just allies, anybody who feels like they relate to the song in any sort of way, we've somehow gotten it on the radio, and like it's global, and that's wild. Growing up, I never would have thought that a queer anthem could end up being so infiltrating the sort of general public. So that's really exciting to me as somebody who wants to represent that and who needed that.
Yeah. See, that was the ride we were talking about. Thank you. love the song. Actually, love it.
Thank you so
and
much.
apparently the internet loves it because it blew up like almost immediately, and you can kind of see that reaction. But since it blew up on TikTok, I gotta ask you, what is on your TikTok algorithm when you get on there and you're scrolling? What's popping up for Dove?
That's a good thing. That's a good question. I went wild on someone's TikTok last night, like just somebody who, nobody who I know personally or who's particularly like trending or anything.
Yeah.
because she had just moved to the middle of nowhere to write a novel. And she's posting all of these kind of like, like spiritual awakening, like sort of like off the grid, like diving into self-care and like all these discoveries that she's making of like ego and personhood. And I was like, and I stayed up way too late, like watching her stuff and like eating chocolate, being like, that is the way. So like, that's what's on my For You page. That tells you how much I'm not on the internet and I don't know the trends and I don't know anything that is like people are talking about at the water cooler. I'm like, yeah, did you see this girl? She has like a chicken. I'm like, that sounds so great. Did you see that girl? Like that's what's on my For You page. It's really funny.
I love that you just told that story right now, because Eliott and I were talking even before we sat down with you, and we saw that you had described yourself as an empath at different times. And Eliott and I, well, me specifically too, I definitely am, and like the whole energy thing, and I'd get lost on the same thing as you. So the question though is, how do you preserve your energy, especially now with all that's going on with yourself and the world? Like, what do you do for yourself?
It is such a wildly human question. And I'm so grateful to hear you ask that, because people don't think like that. And I think that the real answer is, previously, I was really able to compartmentalize like my private life and my work life, because I started working so young that I was just like, okay, this is focus time and then this is like human time. But I was starting to hit walls where I would like stop and I would just be like sobbing, because it wasn't so much that I didn't love my job. I love my job, but I do find that like when I'm so focused and for such a long time, there's so many things that my brain is like, okay, that's for later, that's for later, that's for later. And then when you do have off time, you're like a rag doll, like you have nothing left. And especially because the whole reason I got involved in film and TV and music is because I'm a sensitive and I want the world to be a way that it isn't, right? And so I'm constantly pursuing worlds that don't exist, that only really exist through art mediums. And so that was really why I was like, if I could live on these practical sets and with these other kind of sensitive, otherworldly creatures, and we can just create these worlds, I can find my place. And that's really part of what I love so much about my job. But definitely like, I fall in love with people and I give so much to people because I'm, it's like a romance with just like anybody. Like it's a romance with who you exchange words with in the morning when someone's making coffee. You're like, like I'm such a little romantic, and it is a total struggle to not burn out. It totally is, because, ultimate involvement takes ultimate involvement. So I'm really trying to find that balance right now, but, thank you for checking in. I'm working on it.
Yeah. No, I think we're all working on it. So it's good to hear that, even you are too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think being a empath is definitely a superpower, something I can't completely relate to, but I understand that, there's a lot that goes into that. But like having these superpowers, it had me thinking, because you were also a voice for a superhero, Gwen Stacy Spider-Man. So like in the superhero universe, like if you had to be rescued, which superhero would you want to rescue you?
Oh, in the superhero universe, I am doing the rescuing. In the superhero universe, I would never be caught dead needing to be rescued. Are you serious? Listen, as a Capricorn, you will never see me in distress. Even if I am, you'll never know. So honestly, any superhero would skip right over me, because I'd be in peril. I'd be like, I'm fine. I have it. Like, don't come over here. I'm fine.
I got this.
But honestly, I don't know. I would probably be Iron Man. I actually said when I was a kid I wanted to be Iron Man. So that's my answer.
They
actually said that. Yeah. I said that like 2 days ago.
Well, I'm like, what are your big three? Where do you live? Are we hanging out tonight? We're the same person.
Well, actually, funny enough, I'm from Seattle, so there's that connection. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, we're gonna slowly morph. We're gonna like switch screens, and it's gonna be like, that's so wild.
I know. Okay, well, let me get girly for a second. Can I talk to you about your skin? Because it is gorgeous. What is your night routine?
My night routine is really simple. And I actually think that's part of the key to keeping your skin happy. People always say like confuse your skin, sort of like confusing like your workout routine, but I actually completely disagree. Anytime I try to deviate from my like favorite 3 things, it's not good. I would say that I always watch with an oil cleanser rather than like a cleanser that's going to strip my skin, to keep like, I don't know. I'm very instinctive with it. I'm like the biosphere of my like making things up. But I tend to not go for anything too harsh. And then I use any serum at all. And then I use Weleda skin food, the literal, like the stuff that people use like on their cracked hands in the winter.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like cream cheese. It's really, really thick, but I can't, anytime I try to deviate from it, it's not good. But I also drink a ton of water, and I eat super healthy. And I know that that's not a cure all, but what I will say is when I don't do that, I notice immediately. So I would say that those are the things.
Okay. Well, Leda, I'm going to try that one. That's a new hack. Okay.
It's my favorite. It's my all-time favorite.
All right. Last question before we let you get out of here, Dove. Super random. Where do you put your ketchup?
Ketchup lives in the fridge.
Thank you. And thank you.
Are you not putting your ketchup in the fridge?
No. Like my whole life, it's been in the cabinet. The ketchup has lived in the cabinet.
Okay, somebody get your bottle. You have to look. It has to say refrigerate after opening. We're gonna fight about this. Are you okay? Like you've been eating poison ketchup for years.
I mean, I haven't died yet, so I guess it's okay. But yeah, now I'm concerned.
Any ailment that you have, you now can be like, it's the ketchup. You'll be like, I'm getting random bruises from my poison ketchup. I can't trust you. I don't know about that.
That's fair. That's fair.
Oh my God. And I love you even more. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Eliott and Nina. You guys are amazing. Thank you.
Right back at you, girl.